It all started on a snowy Christmas Eve. The weatherman said we were in for a real blizzard, but hey, that's just life in the American suburbs, right? My folks were out at a Christmas party, and I was left home alone, which wasn't a big deal. I decided to make it a movie night and picked a Christmas horror flick to get into the holiday spirit. Now, I'm a sucker for those cheesy horror movies, you know, the ones with the predictable jumps and fake blood. I thought it would be a good idea to crank up the heating, make some hot cocoa, and settle in for a night of festive scares. Little did I know the real horror was about to unfold right outside my window. As the movie played on, the wind outside started howling like a pack of wolves. The snow was falling so thick that it looked like a white curtain had been drawn across the world. The flickering lights from the TV danced on the walls, creating an eerie atmosphere. I was getting into the movie, completely oblivious to what was happening just beyond my front door. In one of those tense moments in the film, when you know something bad's about to go down, I heard a knock at the door. Now, who in their right mind would be out in this blizzard? I paused the movie and stumbled my way to the door, wondering what kind of crazy person would be braving the storm. When I opened the door, I saw my neighbor, Mr. Johnson. He's this old guy who keeps to himself, rarely seen outside his house. I'd exchanged a few pleasantries with him, but that was about it. He looked at me with this unsettling grin, his eyes almost lost in the wrinkles of his face. "Hey there, kiddo," he said, his voice barely audible over the howling wind. "Mind if I come in for a bit? It's freezing out here." I hesitated for a moment, wondering why he would be out in this weather, but you know it's Christmas, and I didn't want to be rude. So, I let him in. As he stepped inside, a gust of cold wind followed him, making me shiver. We sat in the living room, and I tried to make small talk, asking if everything was okay. He just smiled and said, "Lonely Christmas for an old man like me, you know." I nodded, feeling a bit uneasy. He kept glancing towards the window as if he was expecting something or someone. I decided to get back to my movie, but the atmosphere had changed. Every creak of the house, every gust of wind outside, felt like it had taken on a sinister meaning. I couldn't focus on the movie. My eyes kept darting towards Mr. Johnson, who seemed lost in thought, staring into the blizzard. After what felt like an eternity, he stood up and said he had to go. I walked him to the door, and as he stepped outside, he turned to me with that creepy grin again. "Thanks for the company, kiddo. Merry Christmas," he muttered, disappearing into the swirling snow. I closed the door and went back to the window to watch him leave. But you know what shook me to my core? There were no footprints in the snow. It was like he vanished into thin air. I stood there, staring at the empty space where he should have been, feeling a chill crawl up my spine. I don't know what happened that night, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I just experienced something way beyond the ordinary. To this day, I can't look at a snowstorm without wondering what secrets it might be hiding. It might sound crazy, but I swear every Christmas, I half expect to see Mr. Johnson's grinning face in the blizzard, watching and waiting. I'm just an average dude living in this quiet suburban neighborhood where everyone knows everyone, and you can't sneeze without someone saying "bless you" from across the street. One chilly evening, I find myself alone at home. The fam had some event, and I was left to fend for myself. Now don't get me wrong, I'm used to having the place to myself, but there's something about winter nights that make everything a tad more eerie. The slow build-up to this roller coaster of a night began when I decided to order a pizza. Simple enough, right? But as I'm waiting for the delivery guy to bring me the cheesy goodness, I start noticing something off. The street is quieter than usual, and it's giving me these vibes like I'm being watched or something. Pizza arrives, and I brush off the weird feeling. I mean, who cares about neighborhood vibes when you've got a box of pepperoni paradise in your hands? I devour that pizza like it's my last meal, watching TV, and all seems normal until the power decides to play hide and seek. Now, I ain't no electrician, but losing power in winter isn't a party. So there I am, fumbling around for a flashlight, cursing every horror movie I've ever seen that starts with a power outage. But I shrug it off, thinking it's just a glitch. That is until I realize my phone is dead too. With no power and a dead phone, the house turns into a frigid cave. I'm wrapped in blankets, feeling like I'm in an Arctic expedition rather than my own living room. But hey, no big deal, right? Wrong. The quiet of the night becomes deafening. No hum of appliances, no distant chatter from neighbors. Just this unsettling silence. I try to shake off the weird vibes, blaming it on the cold or my overactive imagination. But then, out of nowhere, I hear this noise. A soft, almost imperceptible sound like footsteps in the snow outside. Now, you'd think my first instinct would be to peek out the window. But nah, not me. I freeze, staring at the door like it's about to burst open any second. The footsteps get closer, and my heartbeat is louder than the eerie silence. Trying to convince myself it's just a neighbor or a lost cat, I muster the courage to check outside. I grab the nearest thing that could pass as a weapon, a broomstick, real intimidating, I know, and cautiously make my way to the door. Opening it slowly, I peer into the winter night, and what do I see? Nothing. Not a soul in sight. But that feeling, that gut feeling that someone or something is out there, it won't go away. I lock the door, double-check the windows, and convince myself I'm being paranoid. The footsteps fade, and for a moment, I almost believe I imagined the whole thing. Almost. As I settle back in, the quiet returns. No TV, no phone, just me and the unsettling silence. I'm trying to distract myself, maybe read a book or something. But then I hear it again, the footsteps. But this time they're closer, and they're not alone. I grab my makeshift broomstick weapon and tiptoe to the window. Through the frosty glass, I see figures, shadows moving in the moonlight. My heart is pounding so loud, I'm sure they can hear it. Panic sets in as I realize there's more than one. I rush to the phone, hoping against hope it magically comes to life, but no luck. I debate calling the cops, but without proof. What am I going to say? "Hey, officer, I hear footsteps, but I can't see anyone. Can you swing by?" As I debate my next move, the shadows outside start messing with me. They're whispering, and even though I can't make out the words, it sends shivers down my spine. I decide to hide in the bathroom, thinking it's the safest place. Classic horror movie logic right there. I am crouched in the bathroom with my broomstick, feeling like a character in a low-budget thriller. The whispers outside the door get louder and my mind is racing. What do they want? Why my house? The questions swirl, but there are no answers. Suddenly, it goes quiet again. Too quiet. The bathroom becomes my fortress, and I'm scared to even breathe. I wait seconds, feeling like hours, and just when I think I might survive this ordeal, the power comes back on. The lights flicker to life, and I'm left there, broomstick in hand, surrounded by the echoes of a night that went from mundane to downright terrifying. The shadows are gone, the whisperers silenced. But the questions linger. I stumble out of the bathroom, feeling like I just survived a horror movie marathon. I check every nook and cranny, half expecting something to jump out at me, but the house is empty, and the winter night seems to have swallowed whatever strange presence lurked outside. The rest of the night is a blur, me sitting there staring at the walls waiting for morning like a kid waiting for Christmas. When daylight finally breaks, I'm still shaken. I check the news, expecting some wild story about a suburban winter invasion, but there's nothing.